Hello, everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope we're all doing very well, guys. Good to see you back on the channel. It's Matchday today. Brighton versus Chelsea, the rematch, redemption, revenge, whatever word you want to call it, however you want to describe it. This is a match that some Chelsea fans may still be excited for, and some of you might be, what's the word? A little bit like me, where you don't really know what to think. Should I be excited? But at the same time, I think that we're going to get absolutely smashed. Or maybe you're feeling a little bit more confident. You might feel like we've got enough to scrape a point, but is a point enough? Not really. We need 3. We know we need 3. This is a must-win game for us. We should have won in the FA Cup. We should have easily had the double. This is a worse Brighton side than last season. And for them to win 2 games in a row against us is unacceptable, to be quite frank. But this is the new Chelsea, apparently. The old Chelsea has been and gone. What was once great is no longer great. Big up to everyone in the chat. Smash the like button if you haven't already. Let's get straight up to 20 likes on the video. I'm going to say hello to everyone in the comments as well. So put down your score predictions in the chat. Any questions you've got, I will be answering them as we go, as well as addressing any of the latest issues surrounding the club. Raniel, the Lakers, fair enough, mate. I don't blame you watching them instead of Chelsea. They probably win more matches. Treble Design is tired. Hello, Magnus. I hope you're doing well, mate. Good to see you back on the stream. Up the Chelsea. You're feeling confident? You think we're going to batter them? Fair enough. That's good, mate. That's good. Whether that will actually happen is another story, but I respect the confidence. Our Chelsea was gone when they got rid of everyone in the background, then the players. That's what Castilla Master Productions has to say. You make a very fair point, my friend. We are a long way from where we were. I mean, to say that we're even in the same conversation is a stretch at this point, because we have absolutely fallen off of a cliff in terms of what we expect from this team. And it's just a bit sad, really, isn't it? But look, we can only look at what we're seeing right now. That's all we can look at, and we can try and analyze it game by game, and in terms of all the news that we see. And that's exactly what I'm going to try and do, is break it down, make it easy to understand, and then you can make your own opinion. You can make up your own mind. Now, Enzo Maresca had a number of things to say before this match. So let's go through some of his comments. Let's see what what he's had to say. Now, when he was asked about Chelsea and Champions League, Maresca had to say this. He said, "Don't forget that in the last 2 years, Chelsea have never been in the top 4. This year, we've spent almost the whole season in top 4. This shows everyone we're in the right direction. We'll try our best to bring this club where it belongs, in the UEFA Champions League." He also said, actually, we can probably get the full, there you go. Actually, sorry. Some of this stuff we've already gone through. Brighton boss, Fabian Hertzler. Now, before the FA Cup game, he had to say this. He said, we're going to take this game so seriously. There is a title to be won here. It's fighting talk, considering he's the Brighton manager. You know, we saw the same thing with Crystal Palace's manager, saying that they're in it to win it. As long as you're in the cup, you can still win it. But what do we hear from Enzo Maresca? What do we hear? Are we hearing the same things? It's almost like, I'm not going to get into politics here, but whatever country you live in, you may or may not be happy with the way things are happening. And then you look at another country and how well they're doing. You think, why can't my country be like that? That's almost how I feel a little bit about Maresca and Chelsea at the moment. Is we're in a situation where we feel like we're falling into a bottomless pit, and then you've got other clubs who may not be doing as well as us, irrespective, but they're enjoying their football. They're having a good time. They are improving, and they can understand the direction their club is heading in. Brighton boss Fabian Hertz has said every game will be crucial. So we have to see every game as a final. We need our fans as a 12th man, and I really enjoyed the atmosphere in the last game. So I'm hoping it will be the same for Chelsea. To be honest, the atmosphere was nothing special at Brighton, so I don't know what he's on about. It really wasn't a great atmosphere, if I'm totally honest. He also said, the Brighton manager, we have to set our standards high after the FA Cup win last week. So it is about challenging ourselves, improving and playing more intense. It's not about outplaying the opponent. Chelsea are a good side. Now, when you look at that side of things, what you would say is you've got Chelsea, you think the opposite way, really, in a lot of respects, or at least when you listen to Maresca in the press conferences. He's not saying that we lack effort. So he's not talking about intensity. He's talking about tactically, what happened, passing the ball slowly, whatever it is, the strikers, blah, blah, blah. Brighton are talking about bringing some intensity, and that's enough to beat Chelsea. So hang on a second. Just because you go and give 110%, you believe that that's enough to win a Premier League match? Well, if you had quality in your team, fair enough. But if you don't have enough quality, if you don't possess the quality to outshine the other team, why is effort just going to be enough? You need that quality as well. So that tells me it's not a very good thing. It's almost like, God, what's the name of the Crystal Palace manager? I always forget his name. The Crystal Palace manager before the game, he said that we know what Chelsea are going to do. We know it. And in the Brighton manager has been very similar. He's not giving us much respect. He says Chelsea are a good side, but he also said it's not about outplaying the opponent, because they know that we're going to have the ball and we're going to knock it left, right, backwards, because that means something apparently. They just want to stick the ball in the back of the net, grit their teeth, and get through the game. They're here to win. What are we doing on Valentine's Day? I tell you what, if I was a wag of one of the Chelsea players at the moment, if they didn't win this game, I'd file for a divorce. No Valentine's Day. Win this football match. No flowers for you. Anyway, let's see what's next. Enzo Maresca, he said, the reason why I said, so when he was asked about finding the positives after the FA Cup exit, he said, the reason why I said this is because we are not ready to compete in 4 competitions in one season. As I said, if there is something positive, it is that we can focus on the 2 competitions. Now, have I ever heard bullshit? I heard it just then. That is a load of rubbish. We competed in 3 competitions last season. In the Premier League, in the race for Champions League football, we didn't win that race, but we still got European football. In the FA Cup in the semis and in the Carabao Cup in the final. You are telling me we can't compete in 3 competitions. You are full of shit. You are full of shit. Because it's not true. We clearly did it. We did it with a worse squad than we have right now, and you're telling me we can't compete. What the hell did we do last season? What did we do? Come on, man. What are you talking about? We can't compete. We can compete with relegation teams for low standards. Where's the standards, guys? Come on, come on, come on. Let's see what else he had to say. Enzo Maresca has no plans to block David Washington's proposed loan move. He is in talks, so no plans for David Washington to go, even though we don't have a striker available at the moment. He also said, no, we are not considering any free agents to bolster the attack. We are focused on finding solutions with the ones that we have. There you go. So we're going to have to find some solutions. Now, as far as I'm aware, I'm not gonna act like I know more about football than Enzo Maresca, because I clearly don't. I don't manage Chelsea. But I'm just going to paint a picture here. If I am not wrong, in order to get yourself out of a tricky scenario in football, in life, in a relationship, whatever it is that you want, it's Valentine's Day, isn't it? So why don't I give you a Valentine's Day example? You know, last year I get my girlfriend a box of chocolates. She didn't like it. She thought it was too generic. So we didn't have a great Valentine's Day. She was salty about it. She was angry. So this year I got her flowers and she smiled. She was happy. She can't eat the flowers like she can with the chocolate, but she was very happy about it. So all I did is change one thing into something completely different. Now, she might hate flowers. Who knows? I mean, if you've got a girlfriend, you should probably ask her that before you buy them. So we play one style of football, possession-based football. There's nothing wrong with playing possession-based football, but it's a very extreme possession-based football, a bit like Sarri ball in that sense. It's not as direct as Tuchel. It's not as direct as Pochettino. It's not as direct as Lampard. Well, do you know what? It probably is a little bit more direct than Potter. I'll give you that. Potter was more defensively stable, though. So we know what's not working. Change something. You literally said it. We have to find a solution with the players that we have. So the solution is, it's either going to be, there's three things you can do. You can change the players that you put in. You can change the formation. Or you can change the style. You could also do all three of those things. Now, we know that he's going to change a couple of players, Jorgensen being the obvious one for Robert Sanchez. And Reece James will probably be coming back in the squad as well instead of Malagusto, who I feel really bad for. And I don't believe that he fits Enzo Maresca's system. And I think that, to be honest, the manager is not getting the best out of a lot of these players. I think Gusto was arguably one of our best players last year. I really like Gusto. I thought he was fantastic. I didn't miss Reece James last season because I had Malagusto. That tells you how good the player is. And this year, Malagusto is a shadow of himself. And the system is a big part of that. So first thing you can do, if you're struggling to create chances with the current system you have, who are you restricting in your current system? You are restricting your fullbacks. You are restricting Malagusto. You are restricting Reece James if he wants to get further up the pitch. Cucurella was always inverting anyway. So you can still do that and give your fullback on the other side more freedom to go up and create chances. You can still do that. You also have very limited options in the midfield. I mean, you've got Fernandes, you've got Dewsbury Hall, you've got Caicedo. One of those players gets injured, you've got no one. You've literally got no one. You got Raksaki maybe who can come in, who I liked in the Conference League when I saw him play, but is he ready for this level? Probably not. So you're going to have to... Oh, my goodness. Wake up, Alex. People said to me, how the hell did you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go on TalkSport and have a rant? How much coffee did you drink? I'll give you a fun fact. I don't drink coffee. All right. I run on fumes. I run on water. But this team, I don't know what they need before this game. Maybe they need the Jamie Vardy method. I hope they had a glass of red wine, a couple of Red Bulls before kickoff, because they need to kick up the arse. They need to kick up the arse. They need to give something, a little bit more. That extra 10%, that extra 5%, if everyone does it, it's huge. The thing is, to be honest with you, I say that, and in a lot of ways, this season, effort hasn't been a criticism that I put on this team. Just like last season, effort wasn't a criticism. Certain games were poor, don't get me wrong, and there are games as well that, I think we could have done a lot more against Brighton in the last game. But I don't think these players aren't trying. I don't think they're not trying, but they're not being given any support. They're not being helped at all. Maresca's not been given any support. But if they're not good enough, they need that support. They need it, Oh, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? Now, I personally, I coach, right? I coach sports. I don't coach football. I coach tennis. That's my day job. I don't run Chelsea Fan TV full time. And you got some kids that take to it like that, and you just leave them to it. And you got players like that. You got your Palmers. You've got your Cucureas. You've got, players like that who know what they're doing. I'll put Reece James in that category. I'll probably put Gusto in that category as well if you play him in his rightful position. Caicedo as well. But you've got other players who need a bit of help. Last year, our centre-backs and our defence had support from Thiago Silva. We don't have that anymore. So who do we lean on? There's no one to lean on. What happens if Palmer's not firing? Who comes in and takes a little bit of the pressure off of him? Who's performing on the wings? Where's the goals coming from? There's no goals from Madueke. There's no goals from Neto. There's not enough goals from Sancho. He's been creative at times, but he's not scoring enough. And where's the goals coming from up top? We don't even have a striker. There's not even anyone to talk about. I can't criticize Jackson for getting injured. Can't criticize Guiu. How the fuck am I, why are those the only two players I'm talking about when we knew we needed a striker? It's just really pathetic, isn't it? It's not good enough. Maresca said, I know that probably after a while when the club is not competing for important titles, the fans feel a little bit frustrated. But they cannot think that suddenly we are competing for titles and winning titles. And yeah, as if the club hasn't pissed 1.5 billion down the drain. Come on, people. Come on. He said, our goal, our duty is to bring this club to win or compete in 4 competitions. But at this moment, we are not ready. I am confident it will happen. Am I confident it will happen? Absolutely. In the next 5 or 10 years, this club can compete, no doubt. Did I read that right? Our goal, our duty is to bring this club to win or compete in 4 competitions. But at this moment, we are not ready. Am I confident it will happen? Absolutely. In the next 5 or 10 years, this club can compete, no doubt. Trust the process. Fuck me. 5 or 10 years? Maresca, you're going to be out of the job in 5 or 10 years. What are you talking about? Come on, mate. In 5 or 10 years, you might have some hair. I mean, a lot of things can change in 5 or 10 years. I don't know, but come on, man. That is just the epitome of delusion. Absolute delusion. How? How do you've literally said, listen, the fans need to be patient. I understand that we're not competing, but, we need a little bit of time. It's like, okay, all right, we need some time. That's fair. 5 to 10 years? What? It's not what you told us 3 years ago. You said it was a 3-year project, whatever, a 5-year, a 5-window project. Come on, guys. Right, let's see what the chat's saying. There's still a few more things with Maresca, but I'll speak to you guys. Let's see what you have to say. Treble Design is feeling very confident. 6-0. Fair play. Dan saying top 4 enter necessity is a fucking joke. We're already there. Dan, I could not agree with you more. I think it's pathetic, to be quite frank. Crazy. These are the quotes after the money we've spent. I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it? It's absolutely ridiculous. It's like, you know, you're a single man and you want to have a night out and you want to go out and pool. So you say to yourself, do you know what? Tonight is the night. I'm not proud of it, but I'm going to spend my way. And there's going to be some girls that are going to come up to me and maybe one of them is going to come home. You buy yourself a table, you spend however many hundreds of pounds, maybe even thousands. I know in America they spend even more. And you go home empty-handed. It's just pathetic, isn't it? You got people that have no money going out just like that. They're on the pool. And you're sitting there with your bottles of champagne. You got nothing. You are a simp. Chelsea, a simp FC, hedge fund FC, no roses on Valentine's FC. That's what we are right now. Hello, Donna. Good to see you. Back in the building. Happy Valentine's Day to you as well, Donna. Although I did say this yesterday, I am a taken man. Although I did appreciate the super chat yesterday. That was very kind of you. So I'll take that as my my Valentine's gift from you, Donna. Daniel, good to see you back in the building. I hope you're doing well. He says, I'm not confident about the game because Nkunku offers nothing as a number 9. He also has no support, though, guys. He has no support. Like, Nkunku is perfectly capable of scoring goals. But if the system doesn't allow him to be fed and he has to move like Jackson in order to score goals, that is a systematic problem because you have Jackson there who you know fits well into that system, but you now know that Jackson's not going to be around for a couple of months. Same with Mark Guiu. So that begs the question that we need to change the system. And that is not on Nkunku. That is on Maresca. Now, if Maresca is able to tweak the system and get more out of Nkunku, basically put Nkunku in positions where he can shoot. That's it. And if we're passing the ball in our own half for 90 minutes, then that is not going to help Nkunku score goals. So you've got to be more direct. That's the long and the short of it. You've got to be more direct, and you will see Nkunku play better. Feed him in the box, get the ball to him in the box, link up with him, and put him in positions where he can shoot. So that is a systematic error. Now, if we see Nkunku perform poorly, I do not fully blame Nkunku. I blame the manager for not being able to get something out of I'm not going to say world-class player, but he's on the cusp. Nkunku's a fucking good player. He's a better player than Jackson. Everyone knows it. It's just that Jackson fits what Chelsea's doing much more. And the fact that we said we want to get rid of Nkunku anyway, we didn't help ourselves, did we? We're asking a player to help us, and then we're saying, listen, we're going to ship you off anyway. Mr. Alex, we are spending the Valentines together in the end. Donna, I do not think that is going to happen. But if I see you in Brighton, then you're a very brave woman. Each time Maresca does an interview, he sounds less and less like the type of manager we need. And he sounds like the championship manager he is. And yeah, listen, I mean, you can't say I didn't say this when we hired Maresca. You can't say that, you know, we didn't get warned. I mean, I still think he was the best out of what we were looking at. That's the crazy thing, guys. You know, I think that Maresca was a better option than De Zerbi. I think that Maresca was a better option than Thomas Frank. I think he was a better option than Ian McKenna. Does that not concern you? I mean, fuck me. I did a video about Enzo Maresca when we hired him. And, well, I'll share my screen with you, because yeah, I mean, let's watch it. Hang on. Look, let's see what I said when we hired him. I did this video 8 months ago. Chelsea signed Enzo Maresca on a 5-year deal. Best of a bad bunch. So I wasn't happy with Maresca, but I still thought, you know what? This guy he's better than the other ones, basically, but the other ones aren't great. What did I say? Let's see what I said. TV. My name is Alex. Welcome back to another video with the channel. It is official, as Fabrizio Romano likes to say. Here we go. Although I'll be honest with you, that kind of enthusiasm isn't really going through me at the moment. I'm still trying to process the fact that we were even looking at championship managers in the first place, let alone recruiting one. But here we are, Chelsea FC, Conference League FC, Bottle Job FC in the finals, 7-year contract FC, Pep Guardiola BTEC FC. That's a little bit how I feel, to be honest with you guys. I've got nothing against Enzo Maresca, but I can't say I'm delighted. I think if anyone is delighted, then I'm struggling. I'm struggling a little bit. Listen, we know Enzo Maresca is a good manager. I'm not doubting that. But he's only been a manager for a season and a half. He did a couple of games at Parma, I think 14 games, and got the Leicester job. He's managed to get them promoted straight away. But they had by far the biggest budget in the league, by far the best squad in the league. And it's just a different ball game at Chelsea. It's a different ball game. And you cannot expect to just walk in as a championship level manager and perform at a club like Chelsea. But listen, let's have a little backdrop on Enzo Maresca. I'm not going to just So as you can see, I was never happy about this signing. But I always believe in backing the manager. I do believe in that. I'm a firm believer that you should give people a chance. And that's what I did with Potter up until the end when he got sacked. We all sort of agreed towards the end that he needed to go. But it wasn't until maybe only a couple of games before that we reached that stage. That's why I backed Poch. And I would have said the same thing about Maresca. To be honest, if he hadn't have been playing Robert Sanchez, I'd probably still be on the side of let's give him some time. But that showed me that he is just totally incompetent. And how can you support someone that, you know, because even with Maurizio Sarri, for example, manager, people there's a big split in the fan base with Sarri. You could point out a number of things that he was doing that were good. You could also look at things that he did that weren't good. I struggle to see many positives with Maresca and what he's done. I really struggle to see that. I struggle to see how he's improving our squad without signings. I struggle to see how he's improved the mentality around the team. I struggle to understand how the style of play is better than last season, if I'm honest. I'm not entertained as much as I was last year. Again, that could change. I mean, we had some great games, don't get me wrong, but but we had some great games on last year as well. You can't tell me you weren't entertained. 4-3 against United, 4-4 against City. We had some games we got absolutely smashed. Don't get me wrong, but we were certainly entertained last year. And if I'm going to be in a position where this is what's happening at Chelsea, I'd like to be entertained as a bare minimum. I sound like a Tottenham fan right now, but that's how I feel, to be honest. That's where I feel like we're going. We're going in that direction. The way that the manager's speaking, the type of players that we're signing, and the lack of ambition that we're hearing. So, I mean, I'd love to know what you guys think. Let's see. No drive to play whatsoever. I'm convinced Maresca is saying what he is saying because the ownership don't want that level of accountability if it doesn't pan out. Yeah, I agree with you on that one, Castillo. I agree with you there. Treble Design says now they don't. Maresca's hand is forced. He has to change it up like he did against West Ham. And absolutely. And listen, the making of a good manager is being able to thrive in these difficult circumstances. And Maresca will gain my respect if he can do that. I am not saying the season's a write-off. I've never, I'm not saying that. But I am saying that this manager doesn't fill me with confidence, just like the squad doesn't fill me with confidence, what we have available. We had enough with top four with Jackson. I think we could have probably done it because we could have probably still played a similar style. We would have needed a couple of players to pick up form, and if they would have done that, we would have been okay. Not to mention the fact that we'd have a better goalkeeper instead of Sanchez. But now that we don't have Jackson, I just struggle to see it. I mean, I don't know how anyone could look at this and think that we're in a better position than Aston Villa or Nottingham Forest or Man City or Newcastle to finish in that position. I mean, we are the only one out of those teams that have downgraded. We're the only one that decided to make our team worse and then spin that as a positive, like we were helping Maresca when we were actually making life harder for him. And, talk to me about dressing rooms all you want, and the dressing room, fuck right off. The dressing room 2 years ago, we had to expand it because we had too many players. We probably don't even have 50% of what we had at that time now. I mean, it's ridiculous. Got no players, people. We've got no players. Maresca should be sacked. We're crying out for a ball playing centre-back, and Vega looks like prime Blanc at Juventus. There you go. Castillo, bruv, that is called a yes, man. Castillo says, Dan, exactly. Steed, good to see you in the chat. Alex, what do you think about playing Madueke as a 9? He's very direct. It's like when we were talking about managers. He might be the best of a bad bunch. It's not good. It's not good. Come on. That's like saying, if you're at Man City, who are you going to... I mean, no, not really. No, I can't support any of them. I'd play Nkunku. I'd play Nkunku again, to be totally honest with you. I'd play Nkunku again. No, I'd play Nkunku again. Change the fucking system and you'll get more out of Nkunku, man. We've seen it last year. In limited minutes, Nkunku scores when he's given chances. Give the man a chance, he'll score the chance. He doesn't get any chances given to him, and hey-ho, he doesn't score. It's not rocket science. For me, you've got a player there who can perform. You are just inept as a manager to be able to get anything out of that player. We can't even compete against Ipswich. Championship manager. Now, Potter was more vertical in most games. We did have Thiago at the back there. That is very true. Fans need to relax, says Neil. We've always had stopgaps near the end of the Abramovich era. Quick fixes. We weren't even challenging for titles. We were just a cup team. And that is a concern, though, Neil, because we're not even a cup team anymore. The thing that we were so great at, we are now poor at. You got Newcastle challenging for titles. Where are we? Come on. Well said, Dan. Ren is expecting Palmer to start as a false 9. I mean, we did see it under Pochettino, but it didn't work very well. It wasn't good to watch. That didn't make Palmer... Yeah, he didn't look great as a false 9, if I'm being totally honest. Listen, you got to try things. There's nothing wrong with trying things, but we tried and it failed. It didn't work. Palmer said something about being a striker in today's training video. What did he say, Dubs? What did he say? About time we have stability. Fans expect success overnight. We're nowhere near the mess United are in. Fans expect to win every game. Delusional. You know, Neil, you make a great point. Now, my stance on this, because I can't speak for every fan, I can only speak for myself. We won the Champions League. We played in the Club World Cup the next season. We won that. We won the Super Cup. We got to both domestic cup finals. Lost both of them to Liverpool. So it was a pretty good season in that sense in terms of challenging. It was a great season, actually. The next season, we finished 12th. We got knocked out of the Champions League in, the last 16? Or the quarterfinals or whatever it was. We lost in the first round of the FA Cup. We lost in the first round of the Carabao Cup as well. Both times to Man City, which is not great, but still lost. Got battered comfortably. Finished 12th. Going to the next season, we've already had three managers by this time. We bring in the manager he's going to be the one. Get to a Carabao Cup final. Lose FA Cup semis. No European football. Finish 6th. It's definitely an improvement on the season before. So I'm looking at that and I'm saying that's progress based on how far behind we were the season before. You got to judge it on a season by season basis. You can also look at it over a longer time frame. We went backwards a lot and then we recovered slightly. So we went from 12th to 6th, and we went from not competing in cup competitions to competing in cup competitions. Now you look at where we are. Got knocked out early in the Carabao, again. Got knocked out early in the FA Cup by teams who we should be beating, not Man City. They were away games, but you can beat Newcastle. You can beat Brighton. These are winnable games, Brighton especially. And you find yourself in a position, unlike last year, where instead of progressively getting better, you progressively get worse. And instead of having a more stable club in January than you had when you took over, you're gradually weakening yourselves. Injuries, the loans that we've done, the lack of signings we've made. So I think fans are actually quite patient when you look at it from that perspective. And you look at fan channels, I don't really think that people have started having these conversations until we lost to Brighton. And that is why there's so much anger, because we've been patient and now we're seeing a plateau, which is sort of turning into a bit of a slope. And that is none other than a downfall. Unfortunately, that is a downfall. You can say it however you want to say it, it's a downfall. To have the patience to go through Potter's season as it was, you've been respected. Anyone that followed Chelsea home and away, and I went to all of those games. The only game I missed was Zagreb because it was too expensive. I couldn't afford it. That was hard. And we thought as soon as you get through that season, it's going to be better. And it was. So what is the improvement on 6th? It's Champions League. And you still want to challenge on in the domestic competitions, because Conference League is still heavy rotation. You can play weak sides and win games. You can't actually even do that in the Europa League anymore because the standards is better than it was when we won it, for example. There's better teams in there now. So it's worrying, isn't it? It's very worrying that every year you've downgraded on what you've got. Actually, no, sorry, that's not true. Sorry. This year we downgraded in January. That's the worrying thing. So, look, I think you make a valid point, Neil, but I think you've got to look at the other side of it as well. Fans aren't asking to win trophies straight away. I mean, some of them are, but not everyone is. We're just asking to improve year on year, because if we improve every year, that means that we are progressing. And you can't ask for anything more than progress in football. If you did better than the year before, in my eyes, you should try and take some positives out of it. As it stands, we are doing worse. We are doing worse because we're out of both competitions. Pochettino didn't have the chance to do anything in Europe, so you can't compare the Conference League to what he was doing. And then you got to look at the Premier League. Now, I do think we'll finish on more points than last year, but not by a long way. Not by that long. So we'll see. Jordan says, I've got that gut feeling that Maresca is gonna put Sanchez in goal, and if he does, I would just give out. And we need to put Reece James in the squad. He's our captain and leadership in the Chelsea squad. Now, I've got some good news for you, Jordan. We will not be seeing Sanchez, so that is something good. Fans wanted a striker in January. Okay, how's that worked for us in the past? Panic buyers have gotten us nowhere. Fair point, Neil. But do you not think that this is actually an emergency? You know, we're not talking about a Torres who's competing with Drogba. We're talking about someone who can help Jackson and Guiu, who aren't established at this level. United are a much bigger club than us, but look at the mess they have been over the years post-Fergie. I'm scared that that's going to happen to us, Neil. Mohamed, Roman Abramovich, best owner in the history of football. Big up to you. Dub says that's the problem. It shouldn't have been a panic buy situation in the first place. We should have gotten Samu or Duran. I think he's talking about a Meridian, who ended up going to Porto. I think Duran would have been the option. Meridian, we were getting ripped off for him, in fairness. I don't think that he was the solution, so I'm glad we dodged that one. But I think Duran, we can agree, he would have been a nice signing, and he would have really fit what we're doing as well. You can't look at our squad and see what we're and not see what we're trying to build for once. Back the manager and have stability at the club. Neil, you have never watched his channel if you don't think I back the managers. I am probably the biggest defender of managers, but I just don't defend Maresca. I defended Pochettino heavily last year. Jordan says, we don't have many options in our midfield. All we've got is Enzo and Caicedo. If one of them gets injured, it will be an injury crisis. And we've only got Nkunku at the front. It's not good enough. We need a striker. Remember, we've got Dewsbury Hall, if that means anything. But doesn't fill you with much confidence, does it? Fans expect big money signings. How did that work for United? Look at them now, realizing they have to clear all the high wage players simply because it's not sustainable anymore. I think that what we expect is a mixture. I have no issue with signing young players if you mix it with experience. If you don't mix it with experience, then I think you're going to be in a bit of a situation, to be totally honest with you. Stephen, good to see you, mate. Ready for disappointment? Well, listen, it's Valentine's Day, so I'll have a nice lunch with the missus, and if that's all I have to look forward to today, so be it. But I'm going to try my best to enjoy the football as well. But I hope you're doing well, Steve. Moving the goalpost FC. Yes, that's absolutely right. Dub says we should have built from last year instead of restarting. The 22-23 rebuild failed so bad, they rebuilt again in 23-24, and now we've not built onto that. These lot have not had a successful window. Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. What if Nkunku gets injured? Then we don't have a striker. Guiu is out. Jackson is out until April. We will be screwed in the season with no striker. We should have brought a striker in the window. Absolutely. Yes, I will be at the game today, Joe. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Not going to say I'm really confident. My prediction is a draw. I'm predicting a 1-1 draw. But I'd be very happy if we could, of course, win this game. But, you know, I've had messages from people saying it doesn't matter even if we win this game, Alex, because Can we win the next game? Can we win the game after that? Can we win 4 or 5 games in a row? And that is the question mark that we have over this squad and this manager right now. Neil says it's not a lack of ambition, but it's being honest. And fans need to realise, I still remember fans booing Chelsea in the first game of the season when we were having slow build-up. Fans have no patience. Not sure I remember the fans booing on the first game of the season, Neil, but fair enough. We have booed at times, but I don't remember that game. That was the City game. Guys, we've got about 80 of you in the building. Can we get up to 70 likes on the video? Smash the like button if you haven't already. And yeah, let's get those likes up. Let's run it up. It shows that you're actually enjoying it. Yeah, it helps the channel as well. So big up to everyone. Now, before this game as well, I do want to actually do something that I've enjoyed doing recently. It's called the lineup builder. So we've got 15 minutes. So let's go and build our lineup for the Brighton game today. Who are we going to have in there? So we are going to go with, it's not a 4-3-3, that's for sure. It's more of a 4-2-3-1. We'll go with that. Okay. Cool. So who are we putting in goal, guys? I think that's pretty obvious. We're going to go with Jorgensen. Jorgensen in goal. Now, right back, I feel really bad for Gusto. I do feel bad for him. I think that, to be totally honest with you, his treatment in terms of the way he's been managed, and I'm not saying he's been managed poorly from a personal perspective. I'm sure Maresca's nice to him. They get along, whatnot. But in terms of the way he's been managed from a positioning sense, has been so poor. He's not been utilised. So you have to say that Reece James comes into this team instead of Gusto, which leaves 2 slots at centre-back. Yeah, for me personally, I am going to... We've got to look at a few different aspects. Now, the debate here for me is between Tosin and Colwell. And a lot of people have been sick and tired of Colwell. But the one argument that I would make on behalf of Colwell is if we're passing the ball too slowly out from the back, it's going to be very, very difficult. We've got to get that ball going quickly. Tosin struggles at doing that. But defensively, you know you're going to get more out of Tosin than you will with Colwell. So for that reason, this is more of a predicted lineup in that case. I'm going to go Tosin on this side on the right. And then I'm going to have Chalobah playing next to him. And I think the left-back position is fairly self-explanatory. I mean, we don't have anyone else that can play there. You could argue Gusto, but it's got to be Cucurella. Where is he? Cucurella's in there. So that's my back line and my goalkeeper. Now, I'm filled with more confidence based on Jorgensen and James because they will fit better into the system that we're playing at the moment anyway. More so than Sanchez and Gusto. Tosin, we need him to move a little bit quicker when he has the ball. Just release it a bit earlier. Chalobah, we need these two to communicate better. Chalobah was one of the reasons we conceded in that game. Although I would argue that Chalobah is still one of our better defenders, especially in the middle. Cucurella, I'd never really had an issue with him this year. So big up to him. Continue performing. In the midfield, again. Now, we have to look at what we've got coming up. We want to try and manage these players as well as we can, but it's hard to do it when there's not much you can rotate between anyway. Our next game is on Saturday the 22nd after this one. That's away at Villa. So that's a week's break for these players. So I have no problem going with a strong midfield of Enzo, Fernandez, and Caicedo. I'm going to go Caicedo on this side. And then I'm going to have Enzo Fernandez. Those two are more than capable of surviving. They've got a week's rest, and then you're probably going to have to rest one of them for the Southampton game, because that game's on a Tuesday, the Villa game's on a Saturday. So you've got 1, 2, 3 days in between that game, as opposed to over a week's rest for the Villa games. So these players here, I think that they should be able to handle playing in this match, and then you could pretty much start a similar squad against Aston Villa and not have too many issues, unless you wanted to rotate and keep a slightly stronger squad for Southampton as well. But again, I don't know what Maresca's thinking. Now, this is what we should have done earlier in the season, in my opinion. And then you would have had Jackson. This is what we should have done, in my opinion. And I do think that this is one of the reasons that Felix left, is because not only did he know that he wasn't going to play ahead of Palmer, but he knew he wasn't even playing in his position half the time. Sometimes he was playing off the left. Very, very difficult to get minutes. But if you want to get the best out of these three players, you talk about balance all you want. Jackson presses well. Palmer actually puts in a shift defensively. You've got Nkunku, who doesn't run much, but he's got cover in the midfield as well. Cucurella is going to invert and help out a little bit. And you've got three defenders that are sitting back a little bit more. And you'll have cover on this side as well. So you've got one player who's not really putting in a shift. So when we talk about balance, I think it's a load of rubbish, to be totally honest with you. But this is certainly an option. I do think this is a good option as well. Now, do I think that this is going to actually happen? Probably not. I think that what we're going to see, and I know Jackson's not available, so I think we're going to see Madueke on the right, and I think we'll probably end up seeing Sancho on the left. And this is my predicted lineup for the game. This is what I think Maresca is going to do. Again, what would I change? Well, to be honest, there's not really a lot you can change. I mean, if I had Jackson or Guiu in there, I would move Palmer to the right and I'd have Nkunku deeper. Madueke would be dropped. And then you'd have a striker there with Nkunku in his natural position and Palmer in arguably his best position based on his stats last season. So that's what I would predict Maresca to do. Why would I not play Neto in this game? For a very simple reason. If you're not going to put players in the box and you haven't got players who are going to run in and get on the end of those crosses, then there's no point playing Neto. It doesn't make any sense to do it. So for me, if you want to play intricate football and link up with the players, and again, you can still get the ball to feet with Nkunku, and you've got to be direct as well. Madueke is capable of being direct. He needs to improve his end product. He needs to improve up the top end of the pitch, although we have complimented him defensively this season. Sancho, again, needs to be more direct. At times when I'm watching Sancho, he reminds me of Grealish at City. You know that he can take a man on, and instead of doing that, he passes backwards, which is frustrating. But he's not the biggest problem in this side. We need both. We need more from both of our wingers. Palmer is doing as much as he can. And Nkunku needs to be fed. If you feed Nkunku, he will convert chances. His link-up play is not great. His movement is not great. But his finishing ability is up there with the best in the Premier League. There's a reason he converted so many chances in Germany, and even in the minimal minutes that he had last season, when he come on the pitch in games, he was still one of the players who would score his chances when the team as a whole wasn't playing well. Because as long as you give him a couple of chances, he is much more likely to convert them. He's got a better conversion rate than Nicholas Jackson as well. But Jackson offers more in the pitch. And it's just a shame that we don't ever tweak our system to the players. We expect the players to adapt to everything that the manager wants. That works when you have the Arsenal of Guardiola and all those players at your disposal. It doesn't work at any other club unless you're the best of the best of the best. Your Barcelonas, your Bayern Munichs, they can play that kind of football. It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult to get these young guys to play like a team straight away and have that confidence and that end product. Big up to Neon Underdog. Thank you so much for the super chat, mate. He says, keep your head up. Who knows what the future holds? Maybe dreams come true and the Yanks go home. Grab a beer on me, fam. Appreciate it a lot, Neon. That's very kind of you, mate. I have a funny story, actually, now that you mentioned beer. At the last Brighton game, I'm not going to say who it was, but there was some fans who they basically buy beers in the concourse. And when you go to scan your card, obviously, you know, if you look at your wallet, right, you've got different things on your wallet. You've got, you've got tickets, you've got your cards, whatever. People have vouchers as well on there. Some people were scanning bloody TK Maxx vouchers. And because it's so delayed when the card processes, people just walk off and the staff don't do anything about it. Not that I do it. I don't even have a TK Maxx voucher, to be fair. But I appreciate that, Neil. That's very kind, mate. Appreciate your optimism as well. Zenith says, how about Sancho false, as in false nine? I'm pretty sure he's played in fairly central positions. Not for me, man. Not for me. I'm not really a big fan of it. But, I mean, you could see him central again. He's got good link up. Noni out. He's thrash. I think you mean trash. Mohammed says, we need Osman. Dub says, hell nah. I wouldn't compare Maresca and Poch, to be honest. I think they're totally different managers. Totally different. They both got positives and they both got negatives. Maresca's system and tactical approach is better than Poch. Pochettino's man management and player approach in terms of improving individuals. Because people talk all about how Pochettino was good at keeping players happy and on side. People don't talk about how much he improves players. He improves a lot of players, guys. You look at the way Caicedo started off the season and the way he finished the season. He grew into the season. Pochettino helped develop Palmer. People don't want to say it's true. Palmer developed because he was given the freedom by the manager to go out and perform. Pochettino improved Madueke towards the end of the season. That was a difficult process, but it did happen in the end. I think Pochettino improved Cucurella much, much more. I think Cucurella was arguably the best improved player of last season. Enzo Fernandez didn't develop much under Poch. And Kunku would have probably thrived if he wasn't injured. I think Jackson improved so much last year as well. His hold-up play was sensational towards the end of the season. So you can't really compare the two managers. Different managers, different circumstances, but they were working with the same bums upstairs, so I'll give you that. We need to get rid of these owners before sacking the manager. Mediocre standards. Why does Maresca not make Gusto overlap? Overlap version of Gusto is the best I've seen from him. Thoughts on that? Well, because he's not a good enough manager at managing these players and getting the best out of them. That's the truth, Senna. It's the manager's responsibility to get these players to play. And there's two ways of doing it. There's managing the players individually and saying, do what you do best. And there's also what Maresca does, and that is you must play in this system, and this system will get the best out of the team. But it won't get the best out of every individual. Some will thrive and some will capitulate. And unfortunately, the system does not benefit Gusto at all. Now, big up to everyone that's watching, guys. We've got just over 80 of you in the chat. Smash the like button. Let's get up to 80 likes on the video. I don't even know what we're on. Let's have a look. We're on 49 likes, guys. We're on 49 likes. Smash the like button, people. Come on, people. Let's have it. If you've enjoyed the stream, smash the like button. It does help. And listen, I am going to be on my way to Brighton very shortly. I'm going to be in the car driving down. Not long until kickoff, if we're totally honest. It's 2 o'clock already. But yeah, there you go. Listen, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Again, my predictions for this game. My score prediction is 1-1. I think we'll score. I think Brighton will score as well. I hope that we can get 3 points, but I'm really struggling to see it, if I'm totally honest with you. I'm not confident with our manager. I'm not confident with what we have on the pitch as well, to be quite frank. So, yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, guys, before I wrap it up. And smash the like button as well. Enjoy the rest of your Friday, guys. If you're with your girlfriends or your wives or whatever it is, or maybe you're still trying to get in there, get the roses out, people, because I don't think there's going to be many roses at Chelsea. So at least have some fun at home. And we will catch up very soon. All the best, guys. Speak soon.